Hello, friends. Welcome to today's episode of Booked. I'm your host, Saffron Asteria, and I'm joined today by Trinity Cunningham. Is it Cunningham or Cunningham?
It's Cunningham, I guess. I've never actually had that question before. Cunningham, however you'd say it.
Thank you. Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks for
I hope
having
that
me.
you're having an awesome day, and we already have some people in the chat, which,
Yeah,
which is great. That's always a good sign that people have joined. Now we have the wonderful Tim McKay, who it's his birthday today. So I
happy
did a little
birthday.
happy birthday,
I
Tim.
love it.
Having a nice day. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful day of yours. And we have Ellen Holmes,
Hello. We
regular.
made it. Yay.
And we also
Like,
had
I feel like I know you already.
she's amazing. She's such a good person. She's basically an auntie. I've sort of unofficially adopted her as my aunt.
I love
Always
it.
cheeky. And we have HM Reed today. Hello.
Very
Thank you
nice.
so much.
Hello.
I've unofficially asked him to be my marketing guy because he keeps coming up with portmanteaus that include my name, and that makes me happy. Anyway,
Very nice.
also Tim does not suck. He's a very nice person.
He's so
This
cool.
guy. We know he's joking. Anyway, we're here to talk about you and your books. So for those who haven't read your work, what kind of things can they expect from your written works?
Well, it's epic fantasy. That's the given. Action, lots of action. I love action. I went with Chosen One. Got lots of Chosen One vibes, and Reluctant Hero in Bloodbound. At least they kind of vary between the three books. So like because they're different main characters, they it varies kind of thing. So like there is lots of magic, a curse, and like the land itself, the country is kind of like a character as well in a way. I say it like that, and it's like there's lots of room for speculation there, but it's yeah. What else? You'd think I'd know how to like just list it off and be like this, and this, but I'm kind of like between three books now. So.
Yeah. So you have your third book in the series coming out on April 25th, which is available for pre-order now, so you can go pre-order that if you so wish.
I think so. It works on the Canadian Amazon site, and I don't know if it's just because I'm in Canada that it didn't show up on the American one, but hopefully that's... Oh, it does? Okay.
Okay, cool. Yes, so this is very exciting. I started reading Unbound yesterday. This is just my thing now. I'm trying to keep up with this reading, and it's not easy. And some of the books are very long. But I really liked it. It's one of those, I said before the live started, it's just another example of fantastic indie fantasy. It makes me so happy when I pick up a book and I'm like, oh, I want to read more of this. It doesn't always happen. So that was a nice surprise for me. Not that I was surprised that I was going to enjoy your work, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
I read a lot of books. So you said that there are different main characters for each of these stories. Are they kind of interwoven with each other still?
Yes. So it's the Guardians of the Well of Firestone trilogy, but each book is a different guardian. They're all part of the same bloodline, and it's just kind of like beginning to end of this, like kind of like Guardians of the Well of Firestone. There are other stories that I have like planned that take place with some of the characters from these books, but it's not in that, like they're not the Guardians.
Okay,
just cool. Characters that are like in the stories that have their own little, like, what do you call those side stories? What do you call them when they're like branched off of something? I can't remember.
I don't know, but I'd call it a side quest.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So that is very, very cool. So is this like the trilogy completed? Obviously, because there's 3 books. I meant was, is it going to be a trilogy and then that's that? Are you going to do more?
That's that for this. So the Bloodbound would be like considered the first book, and then Unbound, and then Inherent Bound is actually a prequel, and it takes place prior to Bloodbound. But it's just like the way that it works is kind of like it just brings you around in full circle, and the idea is that you finish Inherent Bound and you're like, oh, well, now I've got to go read Bloodbound again. So.
Nice. So are you kind of opening people's minds to like, oh, hang on, there's some stuff you didn't notice in this one?
A little bit. There's a lot that's happening, I think, underlying that I didn't even realize that I was doing. I admit that. I didn't even realize I was doing. Don't tell anyone.
It's okay, nobody's here. There's a few people here, but it's fine. It's not like this is live or recorded or anything.
Don't tell no, I mean, I feel like as an author, I should like know what I'm talking about and be like, oh, I did this intentionally on purpose and all these things. Yep, totally with it. No, I wasn't. But it's
that's okay.
There's lots going on that that you catch not always the first time.
Well, of course, and also like as the story is going on, and like if you've written 1 and 2, and you're like, okay, well, I need a prequel, you're going to be not just like justifying choices that you've made in 1 and 2, but you're also going to be like, well, what was the motivation for this thing? And you can't think of every single thing when you're writing book 1, book 2. So don't be hard on yourself. It's okay.
No, it was actually you say that, and I'm like, I can't believe how everything fit into these slots so perfectly, because like you said, I was trying to like make sure everything lined up. I had a vague idea for the prequel, like for the story before, but it was vague. And so when I like was writing it, I had moments where like I would write, so I wrote like the end scene, and I was like, I went to bed that night and I'm like, that didn't work, something doesn't work, so I like left it as it was but kept going. And then one night I just had like this epiphany, and I was like, oh, this. And it was like it was always supposed to be that way. It was kind of amazing, because I was like, how does that even work? It looks like I planned it all out that way.
You did plan it.
I did.
Very organized.
I think subconsciously I did. I think there's something to be said for the subconscious and like how our minds work, because honestly, like there's so much that happened like that. That was like, I can't even explain it.
It definitely helps. I don't know if you found this, but when I'm trying to work out like a plot hole or like connecting this thing to that thing, the best thing that I can do is to do something that I don't have to think about, because then my brain does all the work in the background. And I do a lot of like when I walk the dog, or if I shower, or if I shower, I do shower. I don't shower. Anyway, and sometimes I'll do like a menial job that is just like me doing the same thing over and over again, like meal prepping and things like that. And that's when I have the best ideas. It's not when I'm there trying to think of the thing. It doesn't work like that. Do you find this?
No. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm like, the worst times they come to me and I'm like, stick in my brain so I don't forget. Please.
Do you
like,
do you have
dishes or something?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Do you have to make notes when you think of things, or do you just try and remember them?
I have a notebook somewhere and it's a mess, but yeah, I do. The thing is, like, I don't actually ever look back on the notes, but as soon as I've written it down, it's in my head. So it's kind of like I write it down to leave it alone and ignore it, but now it's solidified. So it's kind of like when I do go back and look at my notes later, I'm like, oh, that's a mess. Like, oh, is that what I was thinking?
Sometimes I'll make notes for myself and I think, I don't know what that means, and that was not helpful.
Yeah,
it was not helpful in any way. That's
no,
not even
and sometimes I can like recall where-ish my train of thought was, but a lot of times I'm like, yeah, that wasn't gonna work ever.
So what do you use to write? I'm sorry, I think there might be a delay. I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, what do you use to write? Do you write on online? Do you use Word? Do you use a notebook?
I just type it. Yeah.
Do you use
sitting in my kids are like, mom's at her computer again.
Oh, cute. So do you use like Google Drive or something like that, or do you use Word?
I like Word. It's my preference.
Yeah.
I don't trust internet stuff, so Word, at least I have it like a file saved in my actual computer.
Yeah. I have this like paranoia about using an online based thing, but the fact that I can use it from my phone is helpful, because I find that I think, oh, there's an idea there, and I can just get my phone out, go to the document and type something in there. Again, it might just be gibberish, but I find that very helpful for sure.
Yeah, it is. I have Word on my phone too, and I can save it, and it goes to like, it's like a cloud drive kind of thing that I can access from my computer. But if I do that, I always go and like click it and save it into an actual document.
Have you ever lost files before?
Yeah.
Why you do that?
Not tons, like it wasn't a lot, but I did lose enough that it was like, I never want that to happen again, especially on like a significant level. So, and I like I back everything up to my USB stick. Like I'm nuts with it. Like
Oh,
maybe a little bit too crazy with my backing up, but
hey, if the internet went down for any reason and you needed to write, then at least you have access to it.
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, where I live, that's not so uncommon. So,
Oh, really? Is it because of the weather?
you know, in the summertime when we get like the high winds, like tornado season, we do like have really bad storms. So that happens. I actually, where I used to live in the city, like it was a small town that grew so much it's a big city now, but they had it way worse. Where I am in the country is actually much better.
Oh,
And I think it's just because I'm so like isolated in this little like forest area. So
that sounds like a dream to write in.
it's lovely. I live at the beach and the forest. I'm kind of like we're right on the like split between prairies and like the boreal forest. Like we're literally like on this split line. So like you can go so far north and it's like forested, and then there's beach and there's prairie. I love where I live.
It sounds like you live inside Stardew Valley, and I'm a bit jealous.
It's I will say that, I mean, as cold as our winters get, and like the fact that there's still like mounds of snow on the ground, it's worth it, I think, for like, and it's what I know too, though. I think everybody, like, when you know what you know. I also am like terrified of natural disasters, and I've just gotten used to like the storms that we have and tornadoes. But if I lived anywhere else, I'm like, I don't want to get used to tsunamis or volcano eruptions or this. It's like I don't want to have to get used to something else.
That's fair.
Yeah.
When I moved here, I've struggled with the heat. I'm not gonna lie. Coming from England, you occasionally get like your 30 degree Celsius days, which is awful because there's like hardly any shade, and the houses are built to insulate, so they're not built for coolness, and then you don't have air conditioning and stuff. Right. So like the AC here has been a lifesaver. However, the storms here are nuts. They are a totally different thing, and lightning's different. Why is the lightning?
Yeah.
I remember waking up one morning. It was like 3:00 in the morning or something, and we had like, so my bedroom at the time, you could kind of see through to the next room, and the curtain was open, and there was this, I can't remember what it was called. I think it was like heat lightning or something, and it was like really crazy lightning that was going on for a long time, and it was just like a rave was going on outside, and I thought that it was like some issue with the government or something. And I stood there and I was like, what the hell is this? This isn't lightning I know. A couple of random strikes, and that's what I'm used to. But yeah,
that would be terrifying for not experiencing. I know when we go to Ireland, it's, I guess they get similar storms, like not very dramatic like they are here. And the winds, like they'll get high winds, and my husband will be like, oh yeah, they're having a hurricane, and it's like not a big deal. It's just normal, because like the houses are built for it, right? And it's just like, oh, okay, like this, everyone's super calm. Like, yeah, like the lightning. Yeah.
Oh, it scares me, but it's fine. It doesn't happen all the time. So
yeah,
that's a plus for me anyway. And also, we're going to come to your house to write. I think that's maybe a writer's retreat at your place.
I'll take it. My little house with kids running around everywhere, but we could write with that, right?
It'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be okay.
Definitely gotten used to the chaos and writing amongst it. So
yeah, I was going to say, how do you manage that? Because I struggle with the loudness of children. I find it very irritating. I suppose it's different when they're kids. You must love them.
There's a level of irritating for sure, especially when they bicker with each other, as siblings do. But like at first it was just like they were home all the time. I kept them home for the first 2 years of their like education, just because of the year it was 2020, and I was like, just stay home, I'll teach you at home. So they were like home for extra years, and it was I just got used to it, because that was my retreat. That was my like, I'm zoning out, I'm ignoring all of you, fend for yourselves, I love you. they survived. And I'm not negligent, I swear. But now that we've kind of like leveled off in that kind of time, they go to like, they're out for a while, we get the space, they come home, and it's my time with them. So I tend to like write still at night. I always prefer at night, just because everyone's gone to bed. I don't have to think about what I'm feeding my family or myself.
Mhm.
I actually probably forget to feed myself more than I forget to feed my family. But
Yeah, that's very normal. It's a very
yeah,
normal thing because like we can zone into what we're doing and forget to eat, but when other people need to eat, they do complain, and you hear
yeah.
about it.
Like, what are we gonna have? It's like, I don't know. I haven't been thinking. My head's been in this other world
Mhm.
where the food's just put on a plate before them and I don't have to do anything. It's so nice. I
I'll
wish.
make things so much easier. And there's no washing up. It's
Yeah,
way easier when it's
you
fictional.
got you just create staff to do that in some. It's like, oh, we've got servers over here. Let them do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So the MC in Unbound is a chef. I
Yeah,
don't know why I'm gesticulating so much. He's a chef.
I love it. I like it.
It's
Sliding.
what was your reasoning for that choice? Do you have experience as a chef? Are you a food lover?
So, I wouldn't actually consider myself at the time that I was writing it. I despise my kitchen, and it's only because I love cooking. I do. I have the
Mhm.
pickiest eater in the world, and it came to the point that there was a little bit of like this trauma where I'm like, I don't want to cook right now because I don't want to deal with the battle that's going to happen, and I don't want to like. It was just kind of like a resentment towards my kitchen and cooking.
Mhm.
But now we're past that, and I actually I've come back to like cooking and realizing how much I love it. Like I will just like I'll just cook up whatever. I'll cook chicken and put something in the cooktop and be like, I don't know what I'm making, but it's gonna be good. Throw spices in. So like, I guess I have a little bit of that prior to even like because I've always enjoyed it,
Mhm.
but I ventured that way because the character in Bloodbound is a carpenter, and that was
Mhm.
kind of a tribute to my husband who's a carpenter,
Oh.
and so that was a little bit. I was like, well, if I need information, I could just ask him because then I don't have to go research anything. I'll just be like, hey, this and this happened, and what would you do for that?
Mhm.
My little walking computer with that. But I purposely like I know the time that I wrote it is kind of like medieval adjacent, and typically fathers would train their son in their like they would apprentice like whatever their work they would kind of take over the business.
Yeah.
But the situation in this one veered so far from that
Mhm.
that I was like I need him to do something that's like way different because he's like I don't know. It's the father son thing, right? It's like he's got issues with his dad and this whole thing. So it's like
Mhm.
I'm not going that route. So I picked something very different, and I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things that I didn't plan for as much as I thought. And now I'm thinking back, and I'm like, oh, this is why I did that. But
It's very easy when you're caught up in a story to make unconscious choices that you don't even have to really actively justify because you know that they're right and it works and you don't have to question those choices. And then when people ask you about them, you then have to analyze like, why did I actually choose that thing? And sometimes it is fun to like work back and think like, why did I make those choices? Oh, actually, it was like these 10 things, which is very cool because it shows that like creatively you're able to solve problems without having to think about it too much, which is an incredibly invaluable tool to have for sure.
yeah, yeah. I like the way you put that. That's definitely it makes me sound a lot more prepared and planned. I love the creativity though. I do. I love just
Yeah.
like sitting down and like even working on this. Like I'm working on a short story right now, and it's just like
Mhm.
I love all the directions that this could go, and I like to just sit and think and be like, well, just write this and see what happens, and then if
Mhm.
it doesn't work, just go back and fix something else. Like so much freedom in it.
There is so much freedom, especially when writing fiction, because like nonfiction, you have to be kind of like accurate
A little,
about
a little
stuff.
bit.
When it's your world that you're creating, you could do literally anything you want to do, and it doesn't even have to make much sense.
No.
Like you can just say, "Well, people just fly now." There's no, I'm not going to tell you why. They just fly now, and people have to accept that. There has to be a
Yeah.
suspension of disbelief to read any fiction, and I truly believe that you can do ridiculous things, and I really love that. So I read in your author bio that you dabbled in screenwriting.
I did. I
Cool.
studied it before I did anything before I even knew that I wanted to go into writing. I studied screenwriting.
You studied it. Okay, tell me about that.
It was like a beginner screenwriting course that I took.
Mhm.
It was like almost straight out of high school, basically. Like I've always loved stories stories in general, and books themselves. Like I liked reading them, but I didn't actually think I would write one because there's so much detail and so much words, so many words. But the screenwriting was very limited, very restricting for me. And I mean, like at the time, I mean, I still have this like big goal to like see my books come to like, you know, film and media in that context. Like that's still a dream for me. But writing it in screenplay format was just like, I had so many, this world was so alive in my head. And if I couldn't just like create it on the page, it didn't quite like meet my standard of what I was foreseeing. So I just like, I mean, I had the ideas, the stories, the characters, and that's actually where like the Guardians of the Wild of Firestone started, was one of my initial ideas that I'd had and written in screenplay format. And just like it's garbage. It's nothing at all like what it is now. But at the time, like it was just really hashing out the characters and getting this like idea of expanding this world in my head. So when I put it aside and left it, it was like a huge gap of time that I had like picked up again and started writing again. And I was like, well, I really like that story, and it still stuck with me like after all these years. Like it never left. So I figured that's got to be worth something. So it's just kind of like starting. And then when I wrote it, it was, the details were so vivid in my head, and everything just flowed so naturally that it was like, okay, I think I was always meant to do this. I just had to come to that place. I couldn't have done it then. I had to go through the process and come to this point. So
that's very cool. And I'm glad that you never let it go.
Yeah.
So otherwise we wouldn't be sat here talking about your 3 friggin' books that you've written.
I had a moment the other day that it was like that surreal kind of like, I was proofreading Inherent Bound and getting it ready and everything. And I was like, I wrote this. It was like, I kind of do that sometimes. It's like, I wrote these words. I did this. Like, it's very cool.
That's very, very, very satisfying to hear. Do you think that these skills that you developed during your stint screenwriting, do you think they helped you in any way with your novel writing?
Definitely. In screenwriting, like in the beginner course anyway, like we talked a lot about the elements of a story. So you got like the plot, setting, characters, events, this like the climax, all that stuff. And it's like you really dive into the deeper aspect of telling a story and how to tell one well. And so even though like you're learning the format different, you're like writing it in different context, you're still really focusing on the storytelling itself. And I think that really helped for like through the years that I wasn't doing anything, it was almost just like it became engraved in me. So when I wrote Bloodbound and I sent it to my editor for the first time, like that was the first time I'd ever showed anybody, she had said, she's like, you seem to have like an instinct for where certain things should line up. And I don't think that just happened. I think that was over the years of just, this has been engraved in me now, and I pay attention because I learned it. And so like when I went to go write, it just was one of those things that like, this needs to happen at this point, and something around here, like just it felt natural.
Yeah,
it felt instinctive.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I've definitely heard that from several people that have tried screenwriting or even poetry, that's helped them to be able to develop their novel writing skills, because it helps you to look at things in a different format and different flow and different perspectives and things like that.
Yeah, you're not so focused on the words themselves as the characters and what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, we've had a couple more people join us. It'd be rude of me not to say anything. Hang on. We have Mark, who I interviewed last Friday, who arrived, who I think is having to go back to work now. We have.
I like how I have to like raise my hand to wave. I'm like, hi.
We also have Sarah. Hello.
Hello.
Be warned. I don't know if you've heard of the Wombles, but there may be a Womble-based question from Sarah.
Okay. You know what? I've watched your show a few times and I've heard it come up, and I'm like, I have no idea what that is, but lots of fun.
Most people don't, unless you're from the UK, and even then, the memory is sketchy because it was from a while ago.
Okay.
One day, maybe they'll bring it back. Maybe it'll have a revival and go across Canada and the Americas. I don't really know my geography very well, but yes.
It's a creature, you said?
Yeah, they are like little puppets, and I think they're like hairy mice with
Oh,
sideburns, um, who go around Wimbledon in London and collect the recycling. Very wholesome.
oh,
It's
I
very
like that.
cute.
That's cool.
Yeah, they all have funny names, and I never remember. Um, never remember what their names are, what they do. I really should have an infographic that I send to guests beforehand to pre-warn them. But I keep
So you
forgetting
know.
other stuff going on. So you had the story in your head for a while, and we have established that you write fantasy. Have you ever dabbled in or been interested in dabbling in other genres, or is fantasy like that's your thing?
Sci-fi. I actually love sci-fi before fantasy,
Oh,
and that's what I
cool.
thought that I would write first, and then
Hmm.
didn't. So it was just kind of the way it naturally happened. Um, excuse me, sorry. The shorts. I wrote a short story. I wrote a sci-fi short story, and I that was kind of my first like official dabbling in a different genre.
Hmm.
And now I've been kind of on this. I'm challenging myself. I don't write short well, and when I say that, I mean like well is like not in the sense that it's like, oh, this sucks. It's like I struggle with it more. Like I actually have an easier time with more words than less. So when I'm limited to like this word count, I have to really think hard on it. So
Hmm.
I've been challenging myself with more like short story ideas
Hmm.
and trying to like see what I can do. So I've got this idea for a spy thriller, and I'm like, I don't know if I could pull this off because it's what I like. It's what I read growing up and what I've always like enjoyed that in that genre. But it's one of those ones that like I don't know if I'd write it well. I enjoy it so much that my standards would be like really high, and I don't think I could meet my own standards. But maybe I can. Who knows?
You can because you want to.
Yeah, yeah.
All it
So
takes
I've
is
got to.
development and time, and
Yeah.
that's something that I've tried to learn myself during this process of like meeting people and doing my own lurking in the background writing and things like that. And having an expectation that the thing that you write is like fantastic the first time round is a ridiculous notion unless you've been doing it like 50 years and you can just like
Yeah.
write with your eyes closed. But if you have
And
something where
people
you're
do
like,
that.
I don't know, maybe they might do. Um, but I'm sure I was going somewhere with that. But basically, if you no, it's fine. If you really, really believe in a story and you haven't got it right yet, then you don't have to do anything with it yet. You can just leave it and then go, okay, I'm going to ruminate on this and figure out, you know, where my skills are and how to develop them and like what is it that's not working with this thing. You
Mhm.
don't have to show anyone yet. That's the fun
It's true.
thing. It's a
It's
secret.
true. Yeah, a little secret. There's I want to try like I write in third person limited,
Mhm.
and I've really been wanting to like. I know it's difficult to write omniscient well,
Mhm.
and I want to try it and
Mhm.
see how like if like practice it. I just want to practice it
Mhm.
because like I want to be somebody who can write that perspective well
Mhm.
and challenge myself and grow. I want to grow. That's what I want.
And then you will. That's the thing. If you really want to do something, you'll do it. And it seems like you really want to do it. So I believe you're going to smash it.
Thanks.
Um, yeah. So is there something about fantasy in general that like drew you to it for it to be the first thing that you actually did? Or was it this specific story that just wouldn't leave you alone?
I think it was that fantasy it comes easy to me, and when I say that, I mean like I can make stuff up.
Okay.
I could. I'm pretty good at like inventing things. I've been doing it for a really long time.
Mhm.
Um, so it was one that just like I guess starting out, it's good to start with something that's not the most challenging thing ever.
Yeah. Mhm.
And the like sci-fi, I feel it would have a lot of research involved, especially with what my sci-fi story is that I do have a sci-fi story that's been brewing since even before the Guardians of the Wildfire stuff. But it would require just the research that's involved, and I don't quite know still what exactly I need to like delve into more of, because I do very character focused. Like, so it's not like I'm like explaining all these things. Like, I don't know if you've read Project Hail Mary, and there's like so much description and explanation, and I'm like, I don't need to know all this stuff though. I mean, it's cool. I feel really stupid because I'm reading this and I feel like I should be smart, but it's one of those ones that kind of like makes me feel like smart reading it, but stupid at the same time. And I'm like, but does it actually make sense though? But no, it's just the research level is, I might be just a little bit lazy right now with what I want to do with that. So
what you could do is just write it and then put a little asterisk that says need to research here.
That's true. Yeah, I could. I had originally had plans for what I was going to like research and look into, but then I changed the age of the character drastically. And then I'm like, well, that changes a whole lot now because it just affects like everything at this point. So just, yeah, definitely the placeholders are good though.
Yeah. I usually put in all caps a threat to myself if there's a bit missing. So it's like, you better finish this, you shit. And I call myself names because it stands out to me because I think, oh, rude, and then it makes me do things. So I bully myself into finishing things, which doesn't work because I haven't finished it.
That's funny.
So, yeah, I don't think I could write sci-fi. I love consuming sci-fi. Not necessarily sci-fi books. I like sci-fi shows and movies and video games, but I do find sci-fi books a little bit dry. Because I don't want to know about the technicalities. I want aliens and space fights.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think because I'm like, I love all the sci-fi shows. Like, if you go through on like Netflix or Prime or whatever, like all the ones that are on sci-fi TV or movies, I've probably seen all them, unless they're dubbed or something. Like, but you know, they're my favorite. And then the few sci-fi books that I've read, so I didn't really read a ton of it until kind of more recent years. And the ones that I have read, I'm like, I really wanted to like this more. I loved the Expanse series on Prime, and then I watched the series first, and then I read the books, thinking books are always better. I read the first three. And I was like, they're okay, but like they're not like fantastic, in my opinion. And so like, but I still love the series. And then like I said, I read Project Hail Mary, and I didn't love it. Like, people are raving, and I'm like, I feel like the odd one out here. I'm like, okay.
Sometimes I wonder, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything, sometimes I wonder if people say they like things because they're scared to say they don't.
Maybe. It's like going with the flow.
Sometimes I read something and I think, why is everyone raving about that? But I suppose it just depends what kind of things you like. Because some people really like technical details. So Tim cancelled a birthday lunch and Tyler cancelled his job. To be here. Thank you for being here.
You guys rock. Thanks.
Oh, that's nice. I don't know what that is. I actually immediately thought Charlie Unicorn and realised that's not what you're talking about. Sarah's cat's here, who is a Trinity fan.
Aw, I'm a fan of your cat. And you. I do like cats, so.
Oh dear. I think it just depends on the audience, for sure. Yeah. Because there are some people where I meet them and I think you love sci-fi books, and that's fine. Yeah. But that's not my cup of tea. I like something more punchy.
I think that's it. Like I said, the character driven. Like, I love like really getting in the head of a character, and action. Like I said, action too. If there's lots of that, then. But not action for the sake of action. That's not good.
It depends.
I suppose.
In like a Guy Ritchie film.
Oh, I love Guy Ritchie films.
Me too. I love a good brawl Big fan of a brawl.
She does them so well, though. Like they're just like
does.
they're perfectly cut and like the brilliant. My favorite movie is like King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Like it's one of my favorites. Like just
Oh, that's nice. I remember watching. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember what it's called. It'll come to me. It was a Guy Ritchie film.
Yeah.
Is it Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels? I think that's a Guy Ritchie film.
Probably.
For the first time.
Great.
And I've been told that it was really good for a long time, and then I watched it and I thought, oh, this is fantastic. I wonder if you've written anything, like books. If he has, I'd read them.
I would too.
Yeah.
I'd be interested.
I'd probably have to get the dictionary out, the Cockney Rhyming Slang Dictionary. Harder to read than it is to hear, because you get context when you see people moving around.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have a villain in Unbound who I don't know if he's in the other ones. I have a feeling that he possibly is going to feature in the other books. He's horrible. He's a horrible villain in a good way. I mean, like, I hate him. He's horrible. How did you? You're very nice. You're a very lovely person. I can tell. How have you written such a horrible bastard?
I think I know who. It depends on how far along. There's a couple villains, but
the first main villain we come up against, and he's quite well.
I don't know how I don't know. I just pull from like other villains and like pick what I think would be awful and horrifying, and then I don't know, write them into being. I wrote my like Bloodbound. The villain isn't as like the first villain in that one isn't as like sinister. We'll call him sinister. He's more just like a tantrum, you know. But this one was like, I don't know. I feel like villain is done well when they're subtle, when they're like almost like could be not come across as villainous if you don't know, but then they are horrible.
Well, you do a lot of like underlying like hints at stuff as well. You're very good at like giving us little bits of the characters and not info dumping, and I feel like I can see you create a very vivid world to experience, which is why I've been enjoying Unbound so much, because I'm like, I mean, I'm there, I'm hanging out, I'm watching everything happen like a fly on the wall, and that's very cool. It's very cool to have.
I love that.
Do you feel that I missed, I think this is Chris that's here. Hello, Chris. I think it's Chris Brand. If I'm wrong, I always forget. When people have names that aren't their names, it confuses me. Hello, if that is you. If it's not you, hello anyway. Do you feel that your writing has changed much, if at all, throughout writing this trilogy? Because it's been done over obviously a number of years. Do you think you've changed much as an author?
I have. I know I have, because like I can see my own growth from when I first wrote Bloodbound, the first draft, sent it to my editor, and the extent of notes that she sent back. Like, she was very, very thorough, but it was wonderful because I really did learn so much. And then by the time I wrote Unbound, I sent her, the same editor, my first draft, and she was like, "You've hit like next level." I was like, yes, I love hearing that, especially from a professional who's like in the industry. So it was like, I took a lot of what she had suggested and input, and I was able to apply it to a first draft of my next book, that it made the cleanup a lot nicer and like so much less rewrites. And then even with the third one, like that one, it was a lot harder to write the third one, and for many reasons, but it was just like, you stick into a timeline for starters, like it has to line up with certain things, certain events have to happen, certain events have to line up with exactly the right timing. And then at the same time, it's like there was just so much more about it that was like on a personal level very difficult for me to push through, and a lot less I was able to just zip through the first two. It felt like it just was like writing itself natural. This one I had to like involve my brain more.
Which is always really hard.
Yeah, but it's I definitely think that I have grown from book one to book three, and hopefully will continue to.
Oh, you will.
The goal.
As I said, you want to, and you will.
Yeah.
So, what were some of the things that you had to develop from that first editing experience? If you could put it on top of your head.
Like, everything. No, it was a lot of my a lot of writing style. Like so, I did a lot of like the classic mistakes of the info dumping, the flashbacks, the this and that. Like just everything was so like classic first time writer mistake, and just the use of certain like filter words that was very common, and the way that I described things, I probably did the odd like head hop too. I'm not terrible with that one. Like I'm actually pretty good at staying in the person's head and like not jumping into other people's perspectives, but it does happen. And so like that probably like happened a lot more too. There was just the classic errors. So when I went, like it was a really fast write because of that, literally just writing what was on my brain and getting it out. And then now with every time I write something new, I definitely like consider my words more carefully and not just write like, this is my thought, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, okay, let's phrase this a certain way so that it works and I don't have to come back here later and rewrite it all.
It's always a motivation, for sure.
The extra work down the road.
So did you have the same editor for all 3 books?
Yeah. Actually, she does. She was doing full developmental edits and line edits at the time that I had hired her for Bloodbound. And then right as soon as we finished that, I had gathered that she was switching gears with her career, and we had talked, and she said, she's like, so I'm not doing this full thing anymore. I'm doing book coaching now. So she's like switched into book coaching, and she takes clients, and she does like a 6-month program where like finish your novel in 6 months kind of thing. And she's got a whole course with modules and everything. I had asked her when it came time for Unbound, I was like, I know you're not doing the editing thing anymore, but how would you feel about like a whole manuscript evaluation kind of like, and she had said that like for certain like other clients that she'd worked with that she would do something like that. So I was like, okay, cool. So she did the whole manuscript evaluation and treated it like a really, really thorough glorified beta read, but like the best kind, and covered all like the big picture stuff. And if there was a few like little things, but I didn't really require a line edit at that point because I had picked up a lot of like from the first book, and then with the 3rd book too, I had done the same thing. Then had her just do the manuscript evaluation, and then with my copy edit, he was really good about just like little line edits here and there where needed. So it was it's good.
It's always good to have people that you trust on your team to do things like that, because I don't think that any book really usually exists out there with the work of just one person. Like there's oftentimes you'll have extra people involved in the thing, so it's really good that you were able to still get her involved.
Nice. And if there, I think you can usually tell when there's like not a whole lot of like outside help or perspective or whatever. Like it's one of those things. Like it's a solo thing when you write, but it's a community thing when you publish, I think.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
When you're bringing it out to share, it should be more eyes is better.
Well, for sure, because like especially if you've lived in that world as you've been writing for so long, you're gonna miss silly things. Like I've said this tons of times on the show because it's so funny to me, is that I sent off the first few chapters of something that I'd written, and instead of saying that somebody had screamed at the top of their lungs, I said that they screamed at the top of their lunch, and I hadn't noticed. I've like looked through it beforehand, and I'd looked at it so many times. I was like, that looks right. They screamed at the top of their lunch. Of course they did.
You still miss things. I know exactly what you mean. You go through it and it's like, doesn't matter how meticulous you are, you still miss things. Like I put, or I've got in here now for our reads, and I'm like, okay, I'm just waiting to see like if there's anything, like, are there errors? Did I miss something? Probably.
But at least you got that opportunity for that like last line of defense before it goes out there.
Yeah. And I will say, like, my copy editor was extremely thorough. Like I don't know how I think that I would hate that job because like you'd be catching every single comma and semicolon and like a hyphen like between words, or like a space that's extra space, and like it's instead of one single space it's double. It's like how do you catch that stuff like, in a whole thing?
I don't know.
That's what they're paid for.
I'm not detail orientated enough.
No.
To do that. I know that for sure. Although I do notice it in other people's work, which is really irritating because sometimes it'll take me out of it because I think, why is there an extra space there? Am I missing something? Did they say something about there being an extra space in the text? Maybe he took an extra breath. Maybe that's what that means. Because I finished reading a Clive Barker book the other day, and it was like a re-release, I think, version. So it had been through more than one iteration, and there were 2 very clear spelling mistakes that weren't even words. It wasn't even like the wrong there. It was like complete gibberish instead of the words.
Wow.
And I was like, maybe it's Latin or something. Because I thought, well, maybe it's something like that. And I looked it up.
Yeah.
It was nonsense. And I thought, oh, if Clive Barker can get away with it, then we can as well.
Yeah. I was reading the Frozen River by Ariel Lawson, I think, and like I was reading it with that book club, and my friend and I were going through it, and I was like, look at this mistake, it's like, it's just like, not like, oh, look at that, it's more like, okay, they do it too, so
Yes.
like it's just, you feel a little bit validated or justified, validated.
Yeah, for sure. It's like if you don't feel comfortable with like if you first start seeing someone and then they fart and you can fart as well. Because they do it too.
Right, you've opened the door.
Exactly.
You started it.
I always fart first. It's easier. So I always ask the same 2 questions at the end of every show. So if anybody has any questions for Trinity, now is the time. So I'm asking my final 2. As a writer, what does success look like to you?
That's changed over time. So like success as a writer is, well, not giving up for starters, continuing on. And I mean, on the financial aspect, I would love to like earn enough to pay for it itself, so that like I'm not, going into the red, but that I could just like even just like level out. This money for the book pays for the next book. That's financially, that would be like the success. But I did say, I've got goals. That's not really quite the same as my idea of success. My idea of success is just continuing on and striving to do better. Like that's ultimately what I want in a success realm. Goal-wise, I mean, like I would love, like I said, to see it, hit film or sell it like a TV series or something. Like that would be like awesome. And I mean, like that's something I've got to actually like do. It doesn't just happen. But yeah, success, that's just keeping on.
What are your goals?
Goals, the film thing, that would be great. That's with what's existent. But actually, it's funny because I have never done a whole lot of like public speaking and going in front of people. But I've been invited as a keynote speaker at an event locally here. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. I also like was invited to be a guest speaker at a school for an assembly for like the kickoff to I Love to Read month. And so like that was kind of like my first experience going in front of like 300 to 400 kids and talking. And then I was like, okay, I totally froze. My mind was like, I had a plan of what I was going to say. I had it all figured out. And then it was just like, nope. So I'm like, okay, I want to do it again. I'm not like your average person who's like, never again. I'm like, I want to do it again and I want to get better. I want to do, I would love to go around and do like events locally in my hometown and talk about writing in general. And being an author, like that's the bonus, is I have this kind of like credentials behind me, but being able to inspire other people in creative writing. I want to go to like middle schools or high schools and do creative writer workshops. Like that's, I've got like already kind of like my sheet. I had a lady, she had given me kind of like her template, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. So I'm working my way to that, to asking.
So cool.
But it's in my head, and it's kind of like that thing where it's like, I'm not ready just yet, but it's there. And it's like when the opportunity comes, I hope that I'll be like ready to jump on it and do it. So that's kind of goal-wise. I would love to just like, expand in that sense.
That's very cool.
And continue writing, of course, because that's something that's just engraved in me that's never going away.
Oh yeah, you're destined to do it, I think.
Yeah.
So before I ask my last question, Sarah has asked, with the limited knowledge that you have about these weird little creatures, would they fit into your fantasy world because they can recycle things?
They certainly would. They would, like, there's already made up creatures. I don't know if they're real things, but they certainly would fit in this world. They're welcome.
There you go. Wombles are welcome. We love to see it. So the last question that I will ask you is if you could go back to the first time that you ever wrote anything, committed pen to paper, whether it was your screenwriting or novel writing, you can pick. If you could give yourself any advice, what would you give?
That's tough. I'll say the first time I ever put pen to paper and wrote anything was songs. Actually, I wrote a few songs like years and years ago. And I guess just to do it. Like I guess like in my head it's like it got written, and whether or not like it's it's good, it's still something that I wrote, and I think that's the important thing, is that I expressed myself in a way that helped me. It was like a therapy.
Cool.
Just do it. Just write it.
Just do it. Same to everybody here.
Just so simple. Yeah. Actually, that isn't my dedication for it. I found. I really was struggling to write it, and I was sitting here. This is kind of my spot, and I was like just complaining. It's like, oh, like why is this so difficult? And my husband's like, he had said, he's like, do you know what I do when I go to work and I don't want to do it? I was like, what do you do? He's like, I just do it. I was like, I love that. Actually, it was exactly what I needed to hear. So I incorporated it in my dedication. It was like that was the moment I decided, you just made my dedication easy.
Oh, that's nice.
So, yeah. Sometimes we have to just do it.
We do. I totally agree. So thank you so much for being here today. I so appreciate your time and for being here and sharing your world with us. If you're watching this, the third book is available on April, I had to read that, it's really small, April 25th this year, and you can go and pre-order it now. Go do it.
I'm also, if anyone's interested in ARC reading, I am taking ARC readers right now, so
there you go. So where can they sign up? Is it on your website?
Yeah, I have it on my socials there, but if you just drop a DM to me or whatever, I'll get it.
Cool.
And thank you for having me on as well. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This has been so nice. There are links. There's link there. There's links there. I think there should be. There will be definitely links below. I'm sure I put them there. No, don't I? Thank you to everyone that joined us today. I really appreciate you being here, whether you quit your job or said no to a birthday lunch. And happy birthday, Tim McKay.
Have a great birthday, yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for being here today. If you're watching the recording, thank you so much for watching the recording. Whether you joined in on the chat or you lurked in the bushes, I'm glad you're here. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the other side. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.